Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. I am your host, Josh Haiti. That is my partner, Mr. William H.B. Morgan. You will, baby.
What's up? How's everybody doing?
To PinFall Podcast. Dude, it's been a minute.
Yes, it has.
It's been a minute.
Yes, it has.
But we have a lot to talk about this week since we've been gone.
We picked the right week to come back, that's for sure.
And I'm gonna waste no time. We're gonna bring in a guy real quick who, whenever we're talking mental health, I like to have this man on because, like, I wouldn't say expert because it takes years to be an expert in mental health, but he definitely knows his business. He knows what he's talking about. He is the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Seven, if you will.
I will say that I am an expert in mental health because I have been crazy my entire fucking life. But I mean, let's be honest here. We're all a little crazy. What's up, buddy?
Hell yeah.
We're gonna waste no time. We're gonna get into it. Our first topic of the day. We're gonna get into that news. So my first topic is the reason that this man is here. Jon Moxley on Tuesday of this week enters rehab for alcoholism. If you watched any, I saw a clip, but if you watch any of Roads to the Top, you saw there was actually a scene in it where Moxley is hungover. If you know any of Moxley backstage, he's kind of a drinker, kind of a partier, always been that way. It's not a mystery, but the reason that Seven is here is because we were talking about this and I brought it up on a show this past week, and we just want to say, like, there's nothing more manly, and this is coming from a guy who doesn't consider himself a man. There's nothing more manly than a man who can admit he has problems and needs help. We all know Moxley has like a 6-month-old at home. Right. I've brought this up a few times. He's been going nonstop for 6 or 7 years. He didn't even take a break from the transition to WWE to AEW.
Right.
He went into the pandemic era and kept that company afloat as its champion for 15 months. And the ironic thing is the day he entered rehab, it's the day that the man's book came out. But again, I say again, for a man to realize I have an issue when he knows he's probably about to be going on tour for a book, and I've got to go get this fixed for my family, my job, and everything else. It's amazing.
It's, and I think there's a couple of pieces with this here. First of all, of course, I completely agree. The strongest thing Jon Moxley can do, as the big bruiser, badass type of a guy that he is to be like, you know what? Hey, this is a fucking problem. And the thing, we need to make sure that we don't look down on Moxley for this, because first of all, it takes a big ass man to drink that much. Second, it takes an even bigger man to admit when you have a problem. There are so many people in this world that get to that level, and they live it. They don't care. We just had a 23-year-old woman last week lose her life because Henry Ruggs III, at 22 years old, decided to drink 18 mixed drinks and shots at Topgolf before driving his Corvette 156 miles an hour, making collision with the 23-year-old woman's vehicle at 127 miles an hour and ending the life of her and her dog. This is the type of person that gets up there and doesn't admit that they have a problem. You also look at Moxley and the fact that he is 6 months removed from being a dad. I know this may shock some people to actually learn, but postpartum depression can affect men too.
Oh, heck yeah.
Not to dive into this wormhole because we could do a whole show on this.
Right.
I never understood that. And I'm the one here with the youngest kid. So I never understood that until and when they're 6 months, they're teething, they're not
Yeah.
sleeping,
Yeah.
they're literally, it seems like if they're not asleep, they're fussing about something, and you
Right.
can't figure it out what it is.
Right.
And in Moxley's case, he's gone and he's home. He's gone and he's home. He's gone and he's home. That adds to it because the kid's not getting that connection, which is everything at that age. And so even when he's there, he's probably not to be able to be as helpful as he would like to be, which then again weighs on a father's brain. I was here more. If I could be here, if I wasn't traveling, all that shit weighs so heavily, and it doesn't get talked about. Postpartum in general doesn't get talked about enough, even in women, as it should in 2021.
Absolutely.
It should be mastered in women, and we should be figuring it out in men right now.
Here's the thing, and I think that, and this is my perspective and my experience in dealing with my trauma and with other people's trauma. One, there's a couple of aspects that we have to look at this and what it really is. So first of all, in men, postpartum is definitely going to be mental, whereas in females, postpartum is caused because you're not just dealing with the mental stress, but also all of the hormonal changes that a woman's body goes through during and post-pregnancy. So now we have, but with men, it is a very mental experience. And then all of a sudden you have the shock of being responsible for another life and that person, that child's mother. And then we also look at the fact, yes, like you mentioned, the child screaming. Jon Moxley, for a career, wrestles in a ring in an arena with thousands of people screaming at him. Okay. And so at 7, going hard for 7 years, where a majority of the time, all he's hearing in that is that screaming. And then just for the last 6 months, now he gets it at home too. Yeah. It triggers something in his brain. It's one of those things that gets his mind going and into character. So now he's conflicted because he's trying to remember he doesn't have to go into that mode. He has to stay in dad mode and be gentle and calm. And then he's also worried about his family when he's away because of the way that the world is today. Like, this man's struggling mentally. The strongest thing he can do is be like, you know what? No, I can't cope like this anymore. And then the other piece with this that I think was really cool, and you told me about this, but I went back and watched the video because I missed this on AEW on, what was that, Wednesday?
Yeah, this was my next thing to bring up.
CM Punk, when he came out at AEW and Independence, shout out for my friends in Missouri. He told him to stop cheering for him and to cheer for Jon Moxley because he went to rehab. This is the exact fucking response we should have. CM Punk is a god on the mic, average in the ring.
He's really showing average as of late.
And he used to be better, but understand it gets age. Like, it's not a criticism. Wrestling is a show, and that mic stuff really does matter.
Well, and truly, not to get on this, but I want to give him a year. He's been not taking bumps for 7 years.
Right.
It's not. It is like riding a bike, but it's not like riding a bike. The body's got to get used to it again.
Right. I mean, you got to get those muscles.
And that's his biggest. I think that's the biggest issue he's having in watching his matches. He doesn't bounce back from the bump as quickly, and so it lingers on his face and in his.
Well, I mean, you take enough of those, man, it starts to wear on you. Look at Mick Foley, that dude. Like, I'm surprised he's not just like a big meat string puppet at this point, just to keep his big ass up and moving. But no, but for CM Punk to do that, I mean, kudos to AEW for allowing that to happen. I'm not sure if that was planned, if they knew he was going to do that. I'm sure they did. Kudos for AEW for making sure that got approached the way it did.
Well, and then I did want to throw out to Tony Khan for the way he handled it. He was notified early in the morning, was told he could tweet it out, let all the fans know what was going on. They handled him. John was in a title tournament that I'm pretty sure he was supposed to go to the main event in. And they handled it very well, which, as we've discussed on this show a few times, they tend to handle things like this well, like they did with Brody Lee. And so it was handled very well on all sides. The Punk, Punk, he did it. And as we're kind of coming to a close on this topic, I did want to say, if you need help, if you are hurting, if you know of someone who's hurting, reach out. Like, please find someone to talk to. There are people who will listen. Promise.
Absolutely. There was a phrase that was said to me, and I repeat it quite often in my own stuff. You can check out First Generation Dad if you want to check out my stuff and my conversations on mental health, especially as it pertains to parenting. But there's something that I've said a lot because I didn't hear it for the first time until I was 19. Is that you are not your trauma. So remember that. You are not your trauma. You are not your depression. You are a person who deserves peace. So if you need help, ask for it. And if anybody's going to judge you, you message me and I will give you very creative insults and ways to tell them to go fuck themselves. It is my specialty. These guys can affirm. I have turned insulting and being an asshole into an art form, and I'm not ashamed of that. I'm a God-fearing Christian man, but I know how to tell somebody to go fuck themselves because I lived in the South for too goddamn long. But thank you guys for having me. And you guys have a good night.
Thank you, man.
All right, buddy. We appreciate it.
Appreciate you being on, man.
Thank you.
All right, buddy. So we got a few more minutes before I want to go to break. So the next topic I want to talk about, man, the wrestling world's about to get very interesting.
Oh, yeah.
ROH announces that, or Sinclair Broadcasting announces that they are suspending operation of ROH effective December 31st, right after Final Battle this year. They will be releasing all wrestlers from contracts and looking at restructuring and everything, and supposedly, hopefully, be back in April. Is going to be an interesting thing. I've heard if they come back, they're not doing guaranteed contracts. We've talked about before, Sinclair doesn't really care about ROH.
Oh, it's a stepchild.
And first question for you, Will. Do they come back?
I think they come back, but it's going to be very different. It's going to be very, very different. With the no guarantee contracts, you're going to be paying. It's going to be more of a pay per appearance type of deal. I think it would be. And a lot of that's going to depend on who you are, what following you have, and things of that nature. So I think they will come back, but it's going to be very, very different. Very, very different. And I think it's going to scale back a lot. I think that budget's going to be very slim and very tight when they come back. But I think they will come back.
So in hearing all this information, there's not been a lot come out about it just yet. Probably won't be until until it gets closer. But there has been rumors that ROH execs did sit down with AEW and line up contracts for several of their stars, including Jay Lethal, the Briscoes, Dalton Castle. There was a few more, I believe, on the list that I'm missing. I think Roosh was on there.
Yes, I did. Just bring Mandy over here. Just bring Mandy over here. Just bring her over here.
That's one I didn't see, was a lot of the female there. And I mean, ROH doesn't have a huge female roster, but they have a few. There are some guys there, though, that I would love to see. I have wanted to see Briscoes for the Young Bucks versus the Young Bucks since AEW was incarnated. I never watched ROH, so I did not see those. Now I realize neither of these tag teams where they were back in the day, but the Briscoes, I love them. They're the new age Dudley boys. Like, they're just rough and tumble and beat you.
Oh, yeah.
Another great, fuck the Young Bucks. Briscoes and FTR would be one of the best, like, just beat the shit out of each other matches you've ever fucking seen.
That would get me. That would get me watching.
Right? That'd be a match that draws you. Jay Lethal deserves to be in a world title picture right away. The man is magic. He has been Magic since he was the Macho Man.
Oh yeah.
Black Machismo.
And his Ric Flair stuff is good too.
He's carried ROH on his back for several years now. I believe that if he could do some great things at AEW, Roosh would be great at AEW. But there's just a long list of talent.
That's a lot of talent, man. You gotta be careful. You gotta pace yourself with that because you don't want to get to the point where WWE is right now. And I think Impact will come into play.
Some of these guys, and supposedly they've been in discussion with Impact too for some guys.
Yeah, so I think Impact will come into play. I think Impact will be good for some. I think Mandy'd be perfect in Impact on the women's division over there. So you gotta sort of kind of be careful because you don't want to end up, and we're gonna talk about it a little bit later. You don't want to end up in a WWE type situation over at AEW. So you gotta kind of pace yourself a little bit.
And the thing with it is AEW now has Elevation, Dark, Dynamite, and Rampage, which I think at some point they're going to end up expanding Rampage. It's just not long enough.
Yeah.
In the way they've done things with highlighting people on Dark and Elevation, it's also the way that AEW, we've talked about before, how they structure their deals and having the 4 tiers, the first tier being pay by appearance. And now these deals that ROH is brokering, I'm sure aren't pay by appearance deals for most of these guys, but I'm definitely sure they're not the tier 4 either. No. So they're getting somewhere the tier 2. Couple of them might be getting a tier 3.
I think AEW might be ushering in a new way for these guys to be compensated too, because a lot of guys.
Some of them are going to come in and coach. You got to figure Jay Lethal needs to be coaching.
Yeah.
I mean, the Briscoes are probably 2 of the best people to be teaching tag team wrestling on the planet. And I've seen things that ROH will reportedly operate more as an independent when they return.
Yeah, and that makes sense because they were never a conglomerate anyway. They were never the conglomerate.
No, they never even. I wouldn't even. There was a time I think some people would have put ROH as number 4 on professional wrestling in the U.S. I don't know if I would have ever given them that in a time when there wasn't AEW that they would have said 3. And I still don't know because even when there wasn't AEW, I was watching MLW over ROH because it's easier to find.
Yes. And like I say, and you see the disrespect Sinclair gives it. It's a stepchild. It's like a stepchild. They don't care about it. And that's the reason why ROH is going pretty much under. Heck, and NWA surpassed it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If you were to list it now, I would say I'm going pro wrestling, not sports entertainment, so it's AEW, WWE in my head, Impact, MLW, NWA,
New
Japan, Strong.
Fifth to six.
I mean, even I could make an argument for 7th or 8th. Because even GCW, there's a couple of independents that I would say are better than ROH right now.
Yeah.
And which is hard to say because they have the talent.
Yep. That roster got some value. That's for sure. That roster got value.
Sinclair just can't manage a wrestling company.
Nope. That they got some talent. They have no wrestling people there to manage it. And that's what tells you that, hey, that's why they're in trouble.
Here's the thought on this. ROH owns, well, actually, there's rumor that they're looking to sell their library. AEW would have a huge thing into buying that library because that would give them property of All In. Because ROH used all their production, they own All In, which was the precursor
Yes.
To AEW.
Yes.
There's no All In, there's no AEW.
Yes.
So to me, Tony has to fork out that money to Ring of Honor to buy that library.
I agree.
He can't have that going to WWE.
That wouldn't be right. That wouldn't be right.
I'm trying to find. I know I saw a list of wrestlers that they had.
Was you looking for the ROH roster?
No, the list of wrestlers that they have. Okay, so here it is. Nope, that's not what I wanted. Oh, anyway, it's not that big of a deal. So this is interesting, and my final word on this is big for AEW because everybody's always giving them shit about picking up ex-WWE guys, and I've always said, like, damn, they need to get some ROH guys. Like, there's talent over there. I've always thought Dalton Castle was super fucking talented.
Yeah.
And never has gotten an opportunity. So I hope that they are picking up some of these guys and they use them well.
Oh yeah.
All right. We're going to take our first commercial break, and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about another shocking WWE release. Holy shit. Is it sad that these are becoming routine?
Yeah, it is.
This is the fourth time we've covered it on the show. But we'll be right back, and we'll talk about the 18 wrestlers that were released Thursday night.
No one pulls up like we do. No one does us like we do. Always go hard with this crew. Welcome to the show, let's make moves. Nothing's gonna stop us, it's about to get rough. Turn the whole room up, it's never enough. Let's go, 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 let's go.
It's true.
Well, okay, so I think back in August when we talked about it was 44. You add this 18, that's 60.
That's an indie. That's an indie company.
That's an indie company, and
Yeah.
I mean the level of talent. Just look at it. Just look at what's been released. You literally have every tier a company needs. You have your top guys because you've got guys like Bray, Alistair.
Yep.
D-Bry. Well, D-Bry was a free agent, but they let D-Bry go.
Mm-hmm.
And then Braun.
Yep.
Then you still got mid-tier guys that your mid-carders that can carry the weight of that show. And guys like Heath Slater. You've got
your up and coming and Keith Lee.
You've got guys that were guys and girls that were hardcore over in Karrion Kross that they destroyed. And I'm sorry.
The minute that man got called out by Adam Cole, the minute he got called out by Adam Cole, you knew he was done. You knew it. You cannot be a big man and you cannot be a big man and get destroyed on the mic like that. You can't. You just can't.
Frankie Monet, the bullshit they pull. That woman is one of the most talented female wrestlers.
I agree.
Like she is a legend in Mexico, like a legend in Mexican wrestling. And the shit they did to her was bullshit. Yeah, fuck Eva Marie. I'm glad she's gone.
Don't need to come back.
Don't ever come back.
Please don't come back.
Eva,
Let's see.
Eva be gone. Eva be gone.
Dewdrop is fine by herself.
Yeah, she's better by herself.
Mm-hmm.
So I need
now,
to bring up this list.
Now, maybe she knew it was going to be a temporary situation. Eva might have known that. Hey, won't you be her manager? Get over, and then after that, you're done. So she might have known. She might have known.
All right.
It was time for Nia to go. It was time for her to go.
Karrion Kross, Scarlett. Scarlett and Karrion are a team. They should have never been split up. That was dumbass. Everything that they did with Karrion on, and I'm really glad that's gone. Thank God Killer Kross is coming back because I hated that name.
They destroyed that man.
They should never split them up. And everybody, even Cole mentioned how hard everyone in NXT worked to make him such an over badass. And Vince literally killed it in 2 weeks.
Let me ask you a question. Before you go further. Is it kind of funny that maybe 30% of these releases are NXT guys?
Well,
is that kind of funny, or is Vince just being petty again? You knew that was coming
when Vince took over. Like he's got his guys. You knew. What surprised? You know the one that really surprises me the most of all of this, B-Fab, and not many people are going to say that. But reason that surprises me is she was one of the main events on NXT 2.0 premiere.
Y'all know my surprise.
And so that surprises me. You can't be surprised by Ember, bro.
I am surprised. You know why I'm surprised? Because Booker said this on his podcast, and I agree with Booker. I thought Ember did enough to separate herself from everybody else. That's the one reason why you stay on the roster. You have to be able to differentiate yourself between that and the other talent there. And I thought she did enough to differentiate her talent. Now, injury history aside, if you say injury history, I got you. If you say she still needed better work on the mic, I got you. But in terms of talent in the ring, I don't get it.
I don't get it neither. So I've heard rumor of this. And if you look at the women on this list, they're all around a similar age bracket. There's rumor that WWE is focusing on a certain age as far as women.
Bullshit.
I agree. It's fucking bullshit. When you're letting guys like Goldberg go out there and wrestle fucking matches, and
who you trying to get? And then I'm trying to disrespect her in any way whatsoever. But who you trying to get? A bunch of Natty Neidharts? I mean, these ladies are young ladies. These ladies.
Natty I would consider older than like Ember and Frankie and.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, but is that what WWE are they looking for, that age, or? Look, that's ridiculous to me, because you would want to keep your talent young. You want to keep your talent fresh. Ember was young. I don't get it. You know what I'm saying? Some of these, I just don't. Now, Keith Lee, I heard some other stuff about Keith Lee. He had an attitude issue with how he was being handled.
But again, I understand.
I get that. Yeah, I get that.
That's the same thing. I've heard the same thing come out lately about Bray. But that's understandable. They hand them shit.
Yeah. You give them
shit. And then they still get over, and then they get mad that they get over because they weren't supposed to get over with this shitty shit.
Right. And it's crazy. The whole thing is crazy because at the end of the day, these guys were making. Keith Lee could have made you money. Made your money. Bray over. Yes. You knew it. Good gracious, man. You knew Bray was over. Off the rip, Bray was over. That shocked everybody. Again, I just don't get it. I just don't. Now, some of them I do. I mean,
there's been ones on every one of these lists that I don't recognize that were just some NXT guys that are. And then you got Lindsay Dorado and Grand Metalik, who probably haven't been on TV in months.
Yeah. They were paying to stay home.
Yes, there
dark
are
matches.
some that are understandable, but it also brings up this. I gotta fix my camera because it's cutting my head off.
Mercedes Martinez, yeah, you can go.
This brings me to this, and that I didn't save that one.
But some of these releases has been doing some of this talent a huge favor. Look at Billy Kay and Peyton Royce.
You know who it's doing the biggest favor? Not that one. This one. What the fuck, WWE? Because truly, you know who it's doing the biggest favor? Right there.
Yeah.
That's who it's doing the biggest favor to.
Yep.
And even, okay, you go through this list, and we say this every time there's a release. They can't be flooding their roster. But we say that, and we really go back and look at every release that WWE's done just this year. AEW's only picked up like 5 or 6.
Like 5 or 6 of them. That's what. As long as you stagnated, you'd be okay.
The thing is they lump in guys like CM Punk, and Bryan, and Matt Hardy, who weren't releases. Their contracts ended, and they left.
Right.
This
is between 2020 and 2021. This is a new indie company right here.
So, and that was the thing. Just you have your mid card guys that's been released, your top guys, your lower card guys, and your developmental. Like literally, you could run a company for a few years of just WWE releases in 2021. But off of this list, I see 4, maybe 5 AEW people. Karrion and Scarlett, I want to see them go back to Impact. They were amazing in Impact.
Yes.
Grand Metalik and Lindsay Dorado will go back to AAA. Ember Moon needs AEW. If anybody in AEW is listening,
I will say this, however. If you send her to Impact and start a feud with Jordan Grace, those two ladies know each other. Those two ladies are very familiar with each other. That would be a feud for the ages. So I will say that if you take Ember over to Impact, as long as you have that happen, you hit no complaints from me, none.
Taya Valkyrie, I'd love to see back in Impact. She was killer over there.
Yeah. Did you see?
Bye.
Just stay gone. Stay gone.
Bye-bye.
I think though she needs to get back to what she was. But because have you ever seen her without all that weight?
Who, Nia?
Yeah, bro.
I saw her when she was. I mean, she's always been big, but she was a plus size model. She wasn't as big as she is now.
Yeah. If she wants to go back to that, she can still make money.
But off of this list, Keith Lee, Ember Moon, those are the only 2 I really see going to AEW. Those are the only 2 I really. Oni Lorcan would be
maybe
he could work anywhere.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't really. Eva Marie, stay gone.
Bye.
Nia Jax, stay gone. Harry Smith, I have no idea who that. Mia Yim, I mean, she's a badass.
The thing
her
with
and
me,
Keith Lee are going to end up somewhere together, though.
I think they are. I think they are. If you take Keith over to AEW, she's going with them, and that's going to be another feather in AEW's cap because Mia can go.
Yeah, I agree.
Mia can go.
Yeah. To me, this just solidifies what we've been saying for months. Like, they just brought Eva back. She came back 4 months ago?
4 or 5 months ago.
A girl like Eva Marie didn't come back cheap.
Yeah.
So,
and like I said, my thing is she might have known. She may have known. I want you to put over Dewdrop, and once you put her over, we're gonna let you go. But I'm gonna pay you well to do it.
But
so even
could have known. This is again, they're selling this fucking company.
I had
They're
somebody
selling this company.
I had somebody tell me on Facebook the sale wasn't going to happen because they still got some big names. But what my thing is, you're still going to have big names over there, but you're going to have big names that they value.
But
And
if you look
but
at it,
still, this
if
company sold, man. This company is sold.
if you look at it, the way it's set up now, you have about 5 or 10 guys per show
Mm-hmm.
that are your top guys. Then you've got about 10 to 15 guys that are good mid-carders.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got your developmentals, and then you've got good guys. They're building guys again over at NXT now that Vince thinks will be able to run right in and take the spots. So,
which hurts the fans because all Vince believes in is big.
Well, every article I've read is these releases just show how much they're not in touch with their fan base. Like they're getting rid of guys that are just so over it and or were over, and then they killed and then released them because they're not over.
Right. It's stupid, man. It's stupid.
So I don't know what the fuck WWE is doing. Other than that, as long as you're not really just a WWE fan, it's a great time to be a wrestling fan.
It's great to be a wrestling fan.
It's a great time to be a wrestling fan.
But just like this talent is about to find out. And a lot of these guys, or any guys before they roll through, WWE is not the end all be all. As long as you remember that and keep an open mind to what other stuff, you're gonna be good to go.
Especially now. Now.
Watch your AEW. Watch your AEWs.
I just saw a thing on Facebook the other day. What in the wrestling business? What is it? When do you consider yourself making it? And I know for a lot of us who ever had that wish or thought about it, it was always WWE because that's all there was.
Not now.
But now, like, I think my goal, if I were a professional wrestler, it would just be able to do what I love doing and support my family doing it. And then when you throw in AEW, who they do the best they can at limiting travel, not making you be away from your family so often, allowing families to join you travel. Like they work with you and like so.
And see, my thing is some of this talent right here that got released is gonna come back to bite you in the ass.
Oh yeah.
Look, AJ Styles is not gonna be there forever. Well, you know what I'm saying?
Well, and I fully believe Bray Wyatt is going to debut next week at Full Gear for AEW.
Yeah.
And Braun's still out there. I've heard Fandango is now looking to sign with a company. I was listening to Renee Young's podcast, though, and I guess Tyler Breeze is going to stay away for a little bit. He's not looking to sign with anybody anytime soon, which sucks because I love Tyler Breeze.
Tyler's cool. Cool. Now,
all right, guys.
Now I can stay gone, and of course, my one enemy, the woman that I hate more than anyone else, even more than Mercedes Martinez, Santana Garrett, just stay gone. Stay gone.
On that note, guys, we're gonna go ahead and wrap that up there. That's all we have for this week. We will be back not next week because it is Full Gear, and I will be watching
Full Gear.
Make sure I was going to do a recap of that, but my stomach is saying it is time to go. So y'all have a great week. We will see y'all in 2 weeks to break down everything Full Gear and everything that's been going on. Probably another round of WWE releases because that's how they work. Y'all have a great week and we'll see y'all.
Take care, guys.